Hello everyone, Killstraws here with an episode on Warframe. I want to talk about the starting Warframes and weapons associated with new players. So I'm going to go right over to the arsenal. Now, personally, I thought it was a waste of time to create a new character and really do that whole starting mission again so I could see everything from, well, a new player's perspective. Because I personally don't find myself capable of starting a new character. I can't do it. So I'm just going to go right over here. And here we are, Excalibur. Now he doesn't look like this for new players. He looks more like this. And I'm going to give you pretty much the short rundown on the starting frames and weapons because they should be easy to understand, and I'll be getting into more advanced detail with weapons, warframes, modding, forma, aura slots, teamwork, all later on down the road. This is going to be a continuation series on a full comprehensive guide on Warframe, and this is not the only video I'm going to be making. There's a lot more to come, and I hope to be able to answer all of your questions in due time for you new players wanting to get into Warframe. Moving on, again, this is Excalibur. He has decent, average sprint speed of 1, shield of 300, power of 300. No, wait, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. Yeah, he has shield of 300, power of 150, health of 300, armor of 225. Now, for a starting frame, he's a good all-rounder. I would actually recommend starting at this frame, with this frame, in the beginning, because he's such a good all-rounder. You will be starting at rank 0, so your stats will be slightly lower. Your stats will rank up and get better as he levels up to level 30. Your abilities will also get better as you rank them up. They'll go farther, they'll last longer, they'll do more damage, and overall be more helpful as you rank them up, which is only capable by ranking up the Warframe. Now, what makes Excalibur such a good all-rounder for beginners is because he has something to close the distance between enemies. If he wants to do more melee, he has a good radial blind, which is a great crowd control ability, especially early on. This will be no doubt your go-to for starting players because survivability will be very difficult for you. And this shouldn't be something that you need to be worried about because it's not necessarily you, your weapons, or your warframes when you're starting out. It's usually because you don't have the mods. You don't have what everyone else has, and that will come with due time. So please do not be discouraged if you find yourself struggling, dying, or just having general trouble early on in the game. The radial blind is very good for keeping you alive in sticky situations. Radial javelin is a good AoE ability, making short work of 12 enemies at once, and that's at max rank. Exalted blade makes a sword energy of light in your hand, and you will be able to attack with it, and it will send out a blade, an arc of energy until 40 meters. So from you, 40 meters out, that's the range with the Exalted Blade. And this is actually really good. Ability also because it has an activation cost and then a drain cost per second. And this will be lowered, the activation and drain cost will be lowered when you get the appropriate mods. So please, again, don't be discouraged. And what's great about Exalted Blade is you can use this for dealing damage to low level enemies that you will come across, and you can use Exalted Blade to create a Radial Blind without having to use energy for Radial Blind during that time. And how you will do that is by sliding and then attacking. And it will do Radial Blind for absolutely free as long as your Exalted Blade is up. So, again, very good all-rounder. Now, your next starting frame will be Volt. Now, you're looking at Volt at his rank 0 state, whereas Excalibur was at his rank 30. So he shows at 150 shield, 100 power, 100 health, and 15 armor. This is more of a mobility-based Warframe with defensive capabilities and his, power cost abilities. So I'm going to be showing you his abilities with Volt Prime, because that's who I own right now. And with Volt Prime, he does have slightly better stats than a regular Volt. However, you'll be closer to, like, higher armor. See, he has 100 armor with Volt Prime, 300 health, 300 power, 450 shield, same sprint speed. Again, Volt will be slightly under these stats. So he's not completely bad when it comes to armor. Though he is a little squish. I can't deny that. And with his abilities, Shock, that is a cast ability at range. It does mediocre damage and can proc a stun between multiple enemies, which is nice, but it's nowhere near Radial Blind nice for Excalibur. Now, here's where Volt really comes into his own with speed. You gain movement speed and melee attack speed based on your power strength. Now, this will scale up as you get better power strength mods. And this allows you to get places faster, zip through enemies, and if you want to go for a melee build later on, usually later game, it's viable. Like, the speed build for Volt is really nice. And with Electric Shield, he becomes a wall. What Electric Shield does is it places a 5-meter wall in front of you, about 2 meters high. And it will stop any projectile that hits it. Except for enemy types that have punch through. For example, a bombard. It shoots a rocket at you. And what will happen is it will explode on impact with the shield. However, the blast radius on the rocket is about 5 meters, and that damage will pass through the shield. It's a pain in the neck, but it makes him really good. Volt is really good for defensive. Just setting up anywhere and not taking damage once he's behind that shield. And Overload, I gotta be honest, I really don't use it that much because I don't really like the ability. But if you do like it, it's alright. It can do a good amount of damage in a wide area. So I would say the comparison between Excalibur and Volt would be Excalibur good early on and medium gameplay. Thank you, Lotus. Whereas Volt is good from medium gameplay to late game. So that's again why I have to recommend Excalibur. Then your last frame, you have Mag. Personally, I don't really like Mag. I don't like Mag at all. And that's because I have bias towards hating Mag. And I do really hate Mag. With only a 450 shield, 150 power, 225 health, and 65 armor, I would have to say that is alright. Except when it comes to her abilities. Pulling enemies towards you. I don't really understand why you want to pull enemies towards you with that low armor. Doesn't make sense. Why? You're just making your death that much sooner. However, with Shield Polarize, you are a killing machine when it comes to Corpus. I can't deny that. You kill Corpus left and right with Shield Polarize. And it's great. But she's really only good against Corpus because of the magnetic damage. And that I'll have to get to in a later installment of this series with different damage types. Bullet Attractor lets you be a little bit more lazy where you are shooting because it creates a big sphere where you can shoot into, and no matter where you shoot, as long as it's within that sphere, it goes and hits the enemy. Personally, I don't like it. I know some people do. Mag players will probably disagree with me all day about Mag and say Mag's great, but I don't like Mag. Her last ability, Crush, brings enemies into the air, does a tiny bit of damage, and lets them back down. That's an alright CC, but not that great when compared to, again, the blind with Excalibur. So, yeah, I would say first choice Excalibur if you want a good starting frame. A second choice Volt if you want something you can build on over time. And your last choice would have to be Mag if you want to be only useful against one enemy type. And it's not even the enemy type you come in contact with when you first start out the game. So it doesn't make sense to me to start out with Mag. Now, going to your starting out primary weapons, you have a choice between the MK1 Broughton and the MK1 Paris. To pretty much sum this up, the MK1 Bratton is good early on, where the MK1 Paris is just bad. That's pretty much it. Because soon enough, you'll be able to make the Paris, and if you like those, just go to the Paris as soon as possible. Skip the MK1 Paris altogether. You'll have a speed trigger by then, which will help it make it more viable. So pretty much the MK1 Bratton is the best choice to make here. I personally hate bullet hoses and don't want to have to give you this recommendation, but that's just the hard truth. Now, with your secondary weapons, you have a choice between the Lado and the MK1 Kunai. With the Lado, I think it's a good choice for beginners, even though it does seriously terrible damage. Like, it's already hard enough to find good secondaries in this game, but this is just an example of how not to make a secondary. Now, the kunai can be a little bit better, or I should say the MK1 kunai, with its higher base damage. However, the aiming mechanic is a little weird, how it shoots in a triangle formation. One will be on target with the reticule, one will be down and to the left, and then the last one will be down to the right. And it will repeat this triangle continuously. That's how throwing weapons work. So this one is pretty much all up to you on what you want. Both will be just as effective. Now, your melee weapon, you will have a choice between the MK1 bow and the Skana. The Skana and the MK1 bow, again, giving it to you short and sweet. MK1 bow is better, does AoE damage. You can't underestimate, the power of being able to hit multiple enemies at once, because a Skana can really only hit one enemy at a time. And that doesn't really help you out because the Skana has less damage than the bow. So at the end of the day, the bow is the best choice. Now, looking into the future of what I'm going to be doing with this series, I'm going to be going into movement, chat channels, star charts, mission types. I'm going to be doing a video on every single mission type so I can really flesh it out. Trading systems, clans, alliances, damage, modding. I'm going to just go all out. This will be a full comprehensive series. And there's so much for me to talk about. But I want to make it user friendly. So I'm just going to make short videos as much as possible. And really try to stick to making at least one video a week. Probably for now, maybe for the next few weeks, I might make 2 videos a week because these videos will be really short in comparison to what I'll be making later. I thank you for watching this video. Please give me a like or dislike, depending, on your honest opinion, because this is a creative outlet for me, and I want to know, how I'm doing. I really enjoy this game. I love this game, and again, thanks for watching. Have a great day.